Scarves are one of my favorite accessory categories, adding style and warmth at the same time. Now you can create this simple scarf with cutting and weaving techniques. Choose 2 coordinating knit fabrics, cut with the help of specialty rulers, and then weave the layers together. It's the Weave and Wave scarf. Let's take a close-up look at the scarf so that you can see the creative cutting. The outside edge has a slight shape to it. The inner layer has a more definite scallop. The interior, where the 2 layers are stacked, is cut about every inch, and the weaving is what's going to hold the layers together. You'll need approximately 1/3 of a yard, 12 inches of the base fabric, and let's say 5 inches wide strip of the accent piece. So not a lot of knit fabrics. If you're working with a heavier knit, we have another option. Interlock is the outer edge. We have a stretch velour for the interior. Whatever knit fabric you're going to work with, you'll find it a very interesting design to create. The base fabric is cut 8 inches wide. The width of my ruler is 6 inches and my fabric is 8 inches wide. Then cut 3 1-inch wide strips of fabric, and these don't have to be exactly accurate. These are going to be used as the weaving strips. We mentioned some creative cutting. The Weave and Wave ruler is what we use to create the scallop around the edges. And with your longer strip of fabric, of course mine is a little bit shorter, you're going to be cutting one edge at a time, aligning the ruler, and then with a 28mm rotary cutter. I like the smaller blade so that you can easily maneuver the corners and the curves. Once you've cut one side, cut the other side, making a mirror image. This next sample has, as I showed you a few minutes earlier, the cutting, and you cut the whole length, the 60 inches of your knit fabric. For the next option, the scallop ruler is the choice. Has 2 different scallop shapes, more definite and a wider spacing. We've chosen the more definite spacing, and because of the very sharp interior points, we've chosen to trace around the edges using chalk marker. And once you've traced one side, do the same tracing on the other side so that you have a mirror image. Now if you're wondering how to do the cutting with this sharp point, let me give you a hint. Working with this narrower cutter, you can start and just follow the edge, and when you get to the corner, just pivot, and it will easily rotate. Just kind of pivot your wrist, and you don't have to raise the blade. That way you'll make certain that all the edges are cut. And just gently do the shaping around the edges. And after shaping one side, repeat on the other, and you'll have that graceful curve. This next sample showcases the 2 layers stacked, one on top of the other, centered, and you may want to do some pinning just along the edges. The ends need to have some shaping, so we're using round the corner ruler, placing it at the corner, and now just rounding the corner. Again, using this narrow blade. And let me give it a little trim, and there we are. So instead of sewing, we're doing the creative cutting. That Weave and Wave ruler comes in handy now to cut the interior sections, to cut the weaving strips. 1 inch apart are horizontal die cut areas with a teardrop at each end. I'll center this ruler within the middle of the scarf, and then the teardrop is where I insert the insert the blade into the ruler. Insert it and cut, insert and cut, insert and cut. After you've cut one length of the ruler, simply reposition and cut the remaining length of your scarf. Remember that those 1-inch strips of fabric. Pull it, and the fabric will turn into trim. So you're stretching it so the fabric rolls to the center. Using a long bodkin, thread one end through the wide loop. In this next sample, we already have 1 strip woven through the middle. As you would do with any weaving, alternate the over and under. So where you went under, you're going to go over and just thread this long trim through the middle. When I get to the third edition of the trim, it will be nice and tight through the middle. The scarf, when it's gathered, will stay in position, just with the use of the fabric. Over and under, over and under. After I'm finished drawing through the trim, I could just tie the ends with a little decorative knot. And you get the idea of the creativity. We'd add the next row, and just like our finished scarf, the next row showcases the completed weave and wave scarf with 3 rows, and the gathering of the fabric, you can make it longer or shorter. What a great way of using interlock or slinky knits. Nancy's Notions offers a full selection of sewing notions to test out your new sewing or quilting skills. Order your supplies today.